Okay, that's awesome. We have an upcoming guest that I can't wait to talk to. But before we do that, we're gonna tap into my Dolores, just so you know who my Dolores is. Dolores Sancelli. Are you there? Are you listening? Dolores Sancelli. Because on the fifth anniversary of COVID, my Dolores was this is how families met. We met on social media where we're like, how come we can't in? How come I can't get in to see my husband? Dolores, are you there? Can you unmute yourself? It's my Dolores. I think she's the 1198 number. Um, Dolores. She's on her phone. Um,
Hi,
Hi,
can
Dolores.
you
Is
hear
this
me?
my Dolores?
Hi. Yes, it is. It's your Dolores.
It's my Dolores. So, just so everyone knows how I met my Dolores for the next 4 minutes, she and I are going to talk for before we bring in Becky. Is what 3 o'clock in the morning when none of us could
Yeah, it
sleep
was somewhere
because we
about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
couldn't sleep because we couldn't see our loved ones because we couldn't get in. Trying, yelling, screaming through the media, and then for some reason I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you texted me and said, I can speak now and I've never spoken to you before in my life. I go, what are you doing up at 3 in the morning? You're like, I have COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
wait, so you're a
And
caregiver,
we
you
had a
have
long
COVID.
conversation in between my coughing fits.
Right.
That was the first COVID that I had gotten, and that was a really bad one.
That was
But I
right.
had gotten your information from another group because I was looking for help from you with the compassionate care visits, and that's how the whole thing just started from there.
Started from there. And we were both laughing. We were laughing. I was trying not to make you laugh. Um, because you had COVID. And we were like, what are we doing up at 3 in the morning? And we were like the Lone Rangers of going, we're going to figure out how to get into these nursing homes. We're going to figure it out. And that's how we met. And it was through social media. And we've had a like what you're like my sister now. You have your mother in a
Mm-hmm.
nursing home. She's been there for how long now? 8 years?
6 years. 6 years.
6 years. And, not for nothing, on the fifth anniversary of being locked out, there are so many amazing relationships that have been made, bonded for life that even if you never see us again, I know I feel this way, Dolores, that we're warriors. Like we're family. We're never gonna be like that was a moment in time that there are still no words for. I'm a word person and I talk all the time and I write all the time. And Becky knows this about me. I'm constantly trying to Becky, are you there? Becky, are you there? and but like you guys will meet Becky. And I know what do you have words for this day that it's 5 years later? Like about 59 minutes ago, they told us we couldn't see our loved ones for an indefinite period of time. Like, you know, no big deal.
It's still to this day, I remember like it was yesterday what happened. We had gotten a notice, a memo that was being handed out, and it was left in my mother's room. And they were going to actually close on the 11th. They were going to shut us out on the 11th, but by some miracle, they changed it to the 12th. And I remember I had taken a half of the day before on the 11th. And when I found out what was going on, I went out and I bought my mother a cell phone so we can communicate because she's on the ventilator unit. So she, by some strange miracle, she's able to talk over the vent and has all her faculties. So she knows, understands it, everything. So I went to Best Buy, I bought her a phone. I gave her a crash course on how to use the video chat. And I remember the infectious disease nurse, because they were going around the halls, security and all, staffing to make sure everyone was leaving. And it was 7 o'clock. And I remember her standing in the hallway by the door of my mother and saying, you have to leave, you have to leave. I said, well, I will leave when I'm ready to leave because I need to go over stuff with her. I don't know when I'm getting back in again. And I'm teaching her how to use the phone. And it just, from there, it spirals, like I think, every generation has something that they live through. And this is our generation's thing that we had to live through. And this is something that I know for a fact that when my father passed away, and it was in a horrific way, it changed me. This added fuel to the fire for me. if that makes any sense. Like it forever changed me. The stuff that we had to go through, what we had to endure, how to fight to get in, to get visits when they were instilling the compassionate care visits. You had to practically sell your soul to be able to go in, like beg to go see them. And there was like a timed visit. You got 15 minutes, you got a half an hour, and they would stand guard in the hallway outside the room because they wanted the 6 feet, social distance, no touching, make sure you're wearing your mask. And I felt like, we were in prison. This is the warden watching what we're doing. And that's how they treated us. They had no regard for how the families felt, how the staff felt. I mean, these people, the staff were working. I can't even say like an animal. It was beyond being pushed like an animal. Animals get treated better, I think. It was the most horrific time and I still can't believe it's 5 years that we started going through this. And the only thing that the previous speaker, Kim, had said, was her name Kim, was that there was a silver lining in it, that it shed light on what's going on. The problem is that there isn't anybody watching. There's no one that's cracking down the hammer on them to say, you're not giving them the 3.5 hours of care. Or if they're short-staffed, you can make complaints and it just falls on deaf ears. I feel like that we are in a hamster wheel, constantly fighting and fighting and fighting. Yes, there's been slight changes, and there's been, thank God for the essential caregiver bill, Marcella. But something needed to be done. I mean, because they were getting disregarded. Any long-term care facility is being disregarded, like as if they don't matter. It's a warehouse. You just store them in there and just wait for them to wither. And that's how I feel sometimes, is that, they don't give them any kudos, for serving their life, and putting money into the system that they're been paying for all their life. And then they're going to cut these things, and they're going to cut the staffing, and they're going to cut the food and the supplies. It shouldn't be that way. They should, like Kim said, you should make it more enticing for the healthcare workers to come to the field. Don't treat them like savages, because they're not. They're the ones that are giving the care to our loved ones. We're not the enemy. We help where we can. We want to help more, but I know because of laws and regulations, we're not, allowed to do certain things. But we're not the enemy. We're here to help. That's our loved one that you're caring for. So whatever is going to make your job easier, and I'm there, I'm going to help. I'm not going to bother you for minor things. I will take care of a lot of stuff. I just want to know that, medically, when they need something, that they're there, that they have the staff to make sure that it gets taken care of. Right. You can't leave, especially on a respiratory unit, you can't leave one respiratory therapist alone by themselves for 5 hours.
Oh, but they do.
The nurse,
but they do. And
yeah,
And the
and that was an ongoing complaint.
Right.
That I had, for 6 months.
Well, I know for me that I don't know where I'd be without my Dolores. Because
Same here.
You go every day.
Same here.
Every day we see it all, and we're in transformation of the family role on the front lines, thanks to people like Becky, who's up next, and the New York State Office of the Aging and her Association of Aging. And, the silver lining you said, because I do want there to be hope in this. What are we calling this, Matt? Like sort of a podcast Zoom care powwow. We're hanging out at Sound Lounge because they're very cool and everybody should know about them. And the silver lining is that we're never going to give up. Like there's no giving up. And I sometimes think that the care industry and the business part of it, and there's some gridlock where they expect humans advocacy. They expect us to give up. Like if my loved one dies, then I'm done with this issue and then move on. But that's not happening. I think we're at a tipping point, and it's because of the consumer voice, which Dolores, you've been a central part of, so I'm honored that You said yes to come on, and that you continue to be my Dolores. And next you're my
Same,
Dolores, because
same
my mother
here.
has a Dolores, and mom's like, my Dolores or your Dolores? It's my Dolores. Everybody has a Dolores. So yeah, there are no words for what
Yeah, that
happened,
was
but
the yeah, that was
yeah,
the silver lining that it shed light on what is actually going on behind closed doors. And like Kim has said that not all facilities, all CEOs are bad, or they're doing it vengefully. That this is what their life's work is about. But they forget this. They're humans. They're not machines. That when they fall apart, that's it. You put them out and you toss them. That's not how it should be. They're humans, and they wouldn't want their own families treated that way.
no. Until it happens to us, and it will happen to us, as Becky will
Mm-hmm.
say, it's just us we're talking about. And that's the tipping point of the consciousness that I think we're on the brink of. I mean, I think we are if we don't give up. And I always say as well, Dolores, like, how can you allow someone eating their meal with feces in there and think that's okay? The shoulder
Mm-hmm.
shrug. But so with that, we'll have time at 1:30 or 1:45 ish for if you want to still stay on, Dolores, to chat a bit.